I went on safari and toured about 10 properties. As you can see, it's not much, but that word potential always enters into the mind of an underfunded, positively optimistic, land-lusted individual. Good afternoon, everyone. This is an Echo SMR 225 brush cutter. It's a string trimmer with a Forester blade adapter. This is what you need if you're going to hack away. I got 7-foot walls of vines and saplings and cut up to 3-inch of saplings, small trees. Look at the birds. It's a beautiful day today. This is the path I created, and it looked like this. I really wanted a 1-acre lot, but I didn't have $100,000, so I bought a half-acre lot for $40,000 that I took out of my IRA. I do have family in the area that I stay with to escape the Maryland winters from time to time. And while I'm down here, my quest will be to plant tropical fruit trees, oranges, mangoes, sapodilla. My brother-in-law has a chainsaw. This is called Taming the Land. Those are hoof prints. Fresh pig tracks. I needed these tools: a pickaxe, a shovel, a rake, a bucket, a tamper. I also had some pruners for the many, many roots. With my brush cutter, I cleared out an area. My brother-in-law gave me a bunch of pavers. I stockpiled about 32 bags of pond rocks. Here I'm using a pickaxe to break up the soil. I'm using a chainsaw and pruners to get out those palmetto roots. Chopping and pulling and cutting, chop, pull, cut, roots and more roots. It is 83 degrees outside and the snakes are out. Black snakes, racers mostly. I'm glad I have my St. Patrick's medallion with me. Using 2x4s, I built a 8x8 form plus a 3x3 to see exactly where I need to dig out the perimeter. I dug up about 20 buckets of dirt sand, and I carried the buckets and dumped the sand onto the existing pathways. This is the end of phase 2. Time to plant some fruit trees. So my very first tree was a Meyer lemon tree. Then I planted a Pickering mango. Then I planted a Hamlin orange tree. So now it's time to go up north till next season. Oh no, 8 months later, it's overgrown and lumpy. So I had to dig everything out, pull everything out. I had to almost start over. I have to re-level everything and get as much biological material out as possible. Using a tamper, I went in a concentric grid pattern several times to get it as compact as possible. At first, I wasn't going to use a vapor barrier, but after dealing with all these invasive roots that could possibly grow into the concrete and knowing that ants could carry away a brick, I was at a conundrum. But ultimately, I decided on a wheat cloth, so at least the slab could breathe. I checked my form for square and level. I filled in the perimeter with patio blocks. Checked the form again for square and level. I poured river rock all into the perimeter and spread it around and tamped it and made it flush all the way around, nice and flush. The next time I pour a slab, I'm going to use a higher quality of landscape fabric. Also, instead of the pond rocks and the patio blocks, I would use exclusively the crushed granite because the crush has a jagged edge that increases the surface area and adheres to the concrete better. We have a delivery of Quickcrete 60-pound bags of concrete mix, which I can pick up 60-pound bags, not 80 pounds, but I just picked it up, put it in my hand cart, and traveled on my little trail to deliver it. And I laid out 23 bags, tamped it down. Then I put the wire mesh on top of that. And then I put another 27 bags on top of that, raked it out. I'm picking up a 12-foot 2x4 and I'm scraping the sand back and forth to make a smooth surface. It is starting to get dark now. I have to leave now. I hope it doesn't rain. Good morning. It looks like we had a raccoon come by. You can see where the aggregate creates these holes as I'm dragging the board across. So I took mortar mix to fill in the holes and to make it very smooth like this. Next, I used a weed sprayer and I mist the whole area and saturated it every hour times 3 the first day. The next day, I used buckets of water and saturated that several times. As you can see, there is some erosion. I had wished I used a Portland mix to fill in the surface holes because it's stickier instead of the S mortar, which is 9 parts sand. I'm flying up north to let that cure, and I'm taking my very first orange with me. 3 weeks later, I'm back, and there are no cracks, and it's solid. Good morning. Yesterday I had some pallets delivered. I had 3 pallets of concrete block and 1 pallet of concrete. And my neighbor came to help me. He told me to widen this pathway so he can get his gator in there and dump off the blocks in the interior. So this path is much wider than it was. So this shed is going to be in the back of my property. So we transported 2 pallets today, and later this afternoon we're going to transport the other 2 pallets. And we just kind of dumped them in the center here. I call this Command Central. So I have all my concrete here, various blocks. We're just carrying all these blocks. Getting ready to build this wall. So yeah, I'm really excited. We're gonna get started on this wall today. It is so nice to have a helpful neighbor.
This is about as close as we can
Yeah,
get.
that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so far I have the rest of the blocks delivered. This is my 8x8. What I did, I took this wonderful concrete cement all multi-purpose repair material and non-shrink grout. It has excellent bond and it has a compression strength of 9,000 pounds. It's very expensive. It's $28 a bag. And I put a scoop in each cell, just a little bit. I'm just trying to anchor it down. And then I put a little bit on the outside, shove it in there and brushed it. So next, a bucket of water, and I'm just pouring a little bit in each cell, just to keep it in place before I start stacking. And when I fill the cells with concrete, I used to use a potato masher, but actually this works much more better to compact it. And before I put the next block on, I just flatten the top, scrape off the excess, and place my block. Now, each face has this side looks better, so I'm gonna place it on this side. On the outside has a better facade. And then I just line it up. As flush as I can get it. And then I measure it. So that needs to come out a little bit more. It's very tedious to get this just perfect, but it's got to be done. Just a touch more. I measure from the outside, and that's perfect, and the inside. There you go.
Here I am carrying buckets of concrete mix to fill in the cores. I am walking about 50 feet, and the logistics of carrying concrete mix in a bucket and buckets of water to the site is what makes it a little more time consuming. I noticed after 2 weeks of manual labor, my strength has really improved. Picking up a bag of concrete now is like picking up a baby. amazing. Okay, the inside of the shed is 78 by 78. "78" all the way around. Sit down here. Okay. That's 10 blocks high. With 2 windows. One window here. Another window's gonna go there. This is my door. And I have 11 blocks high on this side with places for my either a 2x4 or 2x8 to go into. So this is the end of phase 2. I will be back to do the roof. And then after I do the roof, I'll do windows and doors. And probably put a skim coat on it. Even though I tried to get the blocks really tight, there are some vertical see-through, which I don't like. I should have done the conventional masonry, regular laying mortar between the blocks. Okay. And for insect resistance, I painted the trusses and plywood for the roof with copper nap. For extra rust protection, I painted the galvalume with Rust-Oleum. So chainsaw to cut the ends of my trusses, I have about an 8-degree pitch. As you can see, I'm not a builder. I'm missing 2 studs because of the window across from my lean-to roof. To get the plywood on top of the roof, I tied my plywood with rope and I leaned the plywood onto the 2x4. I tied 2 cinder blocks in which I tipped over the opposite wall to counterbalance the board as I heaved ho onto the roof. I did this twice. I have 2 4x8 sheets. Then I screwed in the plywood into the trusses and then the metal sheets screwed into the plywood with rubberized metal washers. The second coat was done with a more watery mix and a big paintbrush. I installed a pre-hung door and 2 coats of paint. I blocked in the windows for now. I'll be back next season to install the windows and the trim.